Hello, and welcome to the third official Ingrained podcast. My dog is about to run into the scene. We are obviously in a different location today, kind of off brand. My husband is still recording. We are actually at my in-laws' house in South Carolina. So this is my father-in-law's work room, his shed. And we thought it would be kind of like the quintessential Thanksgiving, or I guess post-Thanksgiving setup for this third and solo episode. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that time of year for marketing is insane. And so if I look and sound tired, I am. Also, just ate my entire body weight in food yesterday, just like the rest of you guys. And so just a little tired today, but I'm doing it, and here we are. I wanted to start by telling you guys what this episode is going to be about today. So I had asked in a Q&A on Instagram what you guys would like to hear about. And we got kind of like a different array of questions, and I'm going to try and loop them all into one little podcast here. But one of the things that we got was what are some brands that we admire, that we like to emulate, and different brand strategy that we like? And I think that's a great question. We got the question, what makes good brand strategy? And while that could have its entire own episode, I want to touch on a little bit about what I think that is. And then just some Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals that I have myself participated in, or almost participated in, this year. And also just routines going into the end of the year. December's crazy for all of us. Marketing is no exception. And I'm really trying to get ahead on solidifying routines that will help me just feel at peace. So I will be sharing some of those with you guys. First, I have to pull up my notes, but the Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals that I am hopping on. Okay. We're in the world of marketing, as everyone already knows. We get every single email. We sign up for different brands' emails to know what's out there, to know the verbiage that's being used, to have top industry knowledge and to stay informed. So the amount of emails that come through to my team and myself is insane. And I think part of that has made me kind of numb to the deals of Black Friday, and just not really wanting to overconsume, which is ironic. But the deals that I myself am really excited about are, I'm going to go through my list with you, but Crown Affair. So Crown Affair is this kind of really niche hair care brand that I actually don't have anything from. I've been wanting to get one of their combs. I'm in the process of learning not to shampoo my hair every night. So I got some good shampoo and everything, not from them, but from a local store in Nashville. But I wanted to get their combs and their brushes and just take care of my hair. So they're having a really great deal. I loaded my cart up on the drive home from Thanksgiving last night. We were driving from 2 hours away back home to South Carolina here. And I loaded my cart up with all the stuff that I wanted from Zara. There was nice long coats, sweaters, blazers, and my phone died. So when I logged back on to see what I wanted to buy from my carts, it had all been purchased. So I'm sure some of you have participated in that Black Friday deal, but I did not. And I'm sad about it, but it's fine. Jenni Kayne. This is when I buy my Jenni Kayne. Jenni Kayne, I love Jenni Kayne, but it's expensive. It's so expensive. And I am a girl on a budget. So if I buy Jenni Kayne, I buy during their sales. And from what I remember, they might have had a Labor Day sale. I don't know if they do. I think I've only ever bought things from them during this time of the year, during their Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. They have 25% off, and I bought and splurged on one of their sweaters, their cashmere sweaters. If you don't own one, they're so great. They're so comfortable. They're, I mean, I don't know how podcasters do this without notes. How I'm not a public speaker. Anyways, Jenni Kayne, great deals, great quality. If you don't own anything Jenni Kayne, I do recommend saving up. I'm a big fan of the capsule wardrobe, quality over quantity any day of the week. And Jenni Kayne is all quality, all effortless. Love their stuff. If you want something that is similar to Jenni Kayne's like quintessential cocoon oversized cardigan in cashmere, I really am loving Quince. I also have like one of my black sweaters. I wore it yesterday for Thanksgiving. I wear it all the time. It's oversized Mongolian cashmere cardigan from Quince. And it is about a third of the price of Jenni Kayne. You can tell it's like slightly different cashmeres, but I love it. And I honestly would buy another one in a heartbeat if I didn't just buy the Jenni Kayne one. So I love their stuff too. And Zara Home actually has really cute little things and a really great sale going on. So I would check them out as well if you're looking to kind of fill in your home with any different pieces like rugs, any decoration. They really actually do have quite quality stuff for a good price. But other than that, I'm not in a huge buying mood. I mean, I'm always a shopper. I've always been a shopper, but I am a financially anxious person. In all of the years of therapy I've ever been to, therapists are always like, it seems like finances make you the most anxious, and it's true. So we don't like to overspend, and we don't like to just overbuy anything. I don't just willy-nilly buy things. I really try to do my research, and I will return something if I don't like it. So that's kind of what's on my list for now. One thing that's so funny, I just got a text from Quince. 30% off, I think. I don't know. I actually, don't quote me. I don't think it said 30% off. Okay. One of the questions that we got in our Instagram Q&A when we asked what you guys would like to hear about on the solo episode was, what makes a good brand strategy and what makes a good brand? And it's a very loaded question. And I think that in itself deserves its own podcast episode. And I'd really like to do that with Peyton and my team. I'd like to bring at least Peyton on, if not the whole team. I've got to get enough microphones for the whole team. But I definitely want to talk about that more with Peyton. She's our director of marketing. She has a lot of insights on that. But I will touch on what I think makes a really good brand and brand strategy. For me, probably first and foremost, it's if you have a brand, if you have a company, and you want to take this company far and you want longevity with this company, which most everybody does, even if it's not just a brand, it's a company, it's a business, it's your small business, it's a product, it's a service, you need to have and I when I say this, I hope everyone's listening, you need to have a visual brand guide. You need to have a visual brand identity. It happens all the time. We work with a lot of small businesses, and we get it. Like, we help supplement our clients in providing that brand guide to them. But so many times we get clients that come to us and they're like, well, we love everything you guys do, looks consistent and it has this look to it and it's editorial, and fill in the blank with whatever adjective they're looking for. But then they don't have any type of brand guide. They have a logo and they have fonts that they use on and off, but there's no brand guide. And if you're not familiar with a brand guide, it's really like we call it your brand Bible. It's also known as a brand style guide. It is your entire visual identity as a brand in this long PDF format. And the more thorough this PDF is, the better your brand will speak to anyone, anywhere. So if you think about it, like, if you see a brand that has like an amazing social media presence that just truly reflects what the product is, it's typically because they know their brand. They know what it looks like. They know their colors. They know their fonts. They know their templates. They know which different logos to use where. And not only that, because that's all the visual side. And for us, being a visual creative agency, that's super important. But there's also elements of this brand guide that are so important that a lot of people do tend to leave out. And you can fill in a brand guide with anything that you feel like is really important for your brand. You can have market research, competitor research, all of that's super important. But tone and voice are typically left out, and that's so important too, because think about it. everything is digital now. So there's I basically say, and I've heard this all the time as well, but marketing is copywriting. You can market anything if you know how to word it. And by the way that you word it, then you know what the visuals look like. You have to know what the statement is, and all of that is wording. So the tone and the voice and how you speak about your brand and the different adjectives that you would say describe your brand, those are so important, especially when passing off your business to a social media agency. Not even just a social media agency. If you have a company and you hire on a social media manager or a marketing department internally, they need to know what they're dealing with, right? They need to know if you trust somebody with your brand and you're asking them to create copy and campaigns around it, they have to know the tone and the voice, which is all a long-winded way of saying that to me is like the first step into great brand strategy. You need that. And what we do with our clients is if they don't have that already buttoned up when they come to us, that's the first thing that we start working on is, okay, how can we button this up? We can get started on the socials and the visuals and the content before that, kind of simultaneously actually to that, but it's so important to have that, and we love to build that out for our clients. And then by the time that they have that all well-rounded, they're able to see the difference that they're looking for. And they might not even have known that would make all the difference, but it does. So we're in the process of doing that with a few clients right now. It's helping them build out their brand guides, just so everything's buttoned up and that consistency can show through. Consistency creates brand recognition over time. And that is everyone's goal. When you see the Pillsbury Donut Boy, you know who that is. Brands like that over time, you want that recognition. I'm trying to think of some others that you know. One, we'll talk about this in my next little segment, but Reformation. You can pretty much see a Reformation image and its style, or even now just the captions and the copy, and you can say, that's Reformation. Or if you're, a big Reformation fan like my entire team, or you're big into marketing and you use Reformation as an inspiration like we do, that also helps a lot. You can really tell this is Reformation, this is their brand. Think about even just some think Disney and think these huge brands that everyone knows about, that they don't stray from their branding. They might every 20 years or so have a rebrand, but for the most part, they stay in line with their branding. If you hear rustling in the background, it's my dog. There's really no taming Sully. Here he is. He just dug a hole in my in-laws' yard. Okay. Back to brand strategy. This goes with consistency. Also, I promise I'm going to try and stop saying all the time, but it's a work in progress. Going back to consistency in your brand and strategy, creating a digital aligned experience with your product or your service is really important. So if you have this premier service or product, which we typically work with brands that do have a premier service or product, and it doesn't translate on anything digital, so a newsletter, social media is the obvious, you're doing yourself a disservice because you're putting all of this money and this time and your resources into creating this really great service and a really great product. Think about it. Let's talk about it let's say there is a beauty brand and the design of the vessel is beautiful. The dropper is glass. The serum and everything in it there's so much research that's gone into it. Everything about it, when you look at it on the shelf and in the package, is just absolutely top-notch and stunning. And on top of that, the reviews are amazing. You've got influencer marketers, you've got UGC, that comes naturally. So all of that's great. But then imagine going to their social media and it just looks cheap. That doesn't help your overall brand image. And there are people who are like, that doesn't matter. It just is quantity over quality, essentially. But it does matter. You're creating a very beautiful product and one that works and one that catches the eye of a certain type of consumer. And it does matter how that translates online. And really, we're a company that really cares about how your brand translates online. That is marketing. That's all marketing is at this point. Social media has taken the place of catalogs where you have these beautiful catalog imagery. You now can create a catalog for free, essentially, on your Instagram grid. You can create it on your TikTok, your Pinterest. It's all visual now. So it does need to be quality, and it does need to be, like we say, that aligned digital experience. If you have a really nice restaurant, we've dealt with this in the past. We've had clients who we had clients who owned restaurants, and the restaurants were top notch in Nashville. But the one thing we couldn't help them with was the reviews when people came into the restaurant. We marketed the restaurant so well. The imagery was amazing. We documented the cocktails and the process and everything about it. But it wasn't a truly digital aligned experience, because the way that the customer felt when they went in wasn't the way that they thought they'd feel by looking at the socials. There is a level of like false advertising that we don't want to step into. And that's part of what we take in when we're taking on clients. Like, is this actually a brand that we can get behind? Because we can market the hell out of it. We can make it look amazing, but you actually have to be amazing. And you actually do have to provide your clients or your consumers a value. And so if they're coming in, they're saying, wow, we thought it was going to be this, but it was this. While that, like, great, we oversold it. We don't really want to do that. That doesn't help. It doesn't make the numbers match, and that's never a good thing when it comes to marketing. So again, digital line experience, consistency. And last but not least, brand strategy. You need brand storytelling. A lot of times you'll just see brands that are shop this now, link in bio, just CTA, call to action. It doesn't translate well. We're constantly being sold something all of the time. We're all aware of it now. Maybe, 5-10 years ago, a little bit less aware, but now we're all so aware of what we're being sold. Influencers have lost their credibility a little bit because now it's hashtag ad, sponsored post, branded content. You're aware of what you're being sold. We're smart. Consumers are smart, especially like we've been talking about in the premier space. If there's a premium on a product or a service, the people who are spending their money on that are going to spend wisely. They're conscientious consumers. They are aware if they're being sold something authentically, if it is true user-generated content, if it's a recommendation or a referral, or if it's just an ad, if it's just sponsored content. So brand storytelling is how you can kind of get around that, because you can still sell the lifestyle and you can sell this goal subliminally, which that's a hard word to say. But you can sell it without being so just direct and to the point. You don't have to say, buy this now. It will do this, this, and this. There's my dog. It's this creative storytelling. I heard this yesterday. We were driving on our way home from Thanksgiving dinner back to Due West, where we're at now. And it was some book, that audiobook we were all listening to. And they're talking about how creatives need space to think. And really what that is creatives do their most critical thinking and problem-solving ability. They have the most time to do that when they have time to do nothing. When you have time to take a walk, when you have time to just sit on the couch and veg, when you go on vacation, when you're walking around New York, just shopping. Those are the times that I have had the most kind of like epiphany creative moments. And what really got me about this excerpt from what this author was talking about, and I'll find the name of this book and I can put it in the description, but was that he was saying that creatives are critical thinkers. And I thought that was so true. I've never heard it that way before. But if you're a creative, and especially think about it for marketing, if you're in the marketing realm, you are a copywriter, you're a content creator, you're a campaign strategist, you are literally critically thinking of how to do this one thing in all these different ways. So I think one form of critical thinking really is this brand storytelling. If your goal is to get people to shop for Black Friday, how can you get people to shop for Black Friday in a way that's not shop for Black Friday and buy this? And people are so sick of hearing that. They see Black Friday, anything, scroll. Sometimes it works and there's a time and place for it, but what's a more creative way that we can sell something? And I think that's that brand storytelling. Take Black Friday out of it, just your regular Tuesday in January. You need to be able to tell the story that your audience is on. So we talk about it as like, what's your customer journey? We have a candle client. In the candle client, really great candle company, very reputable. We're not just going to sell candles, we're selling what is the lifestyle around lighting a candle. You're creating a moment for yourself or a moment for your guests or a cozy time, or you're taking a bath, you're trying to relax. Like, what are those stories? You just cleaned your house and you light a freshly lit candle. Like, you tell the stories through the context of which people are using your product. We're still having some dog issues. He's now at my feet. If you see a tail wagging, that is what that is. He's digging a hole. He's so guilty right now. He's so funny. Okay, questions that we got. One I want to touch on was somebody had asked, what are some brands that you and your team love that represent really good branding, good brand strategy, and why do we like them? The first I want to talk about is Bala Bangles. I think that what they're doing is so playful and so different and fun. The owners, or the founders, I should say, both have a marketing background, I believe. I think I listened to a podcast on them. And so they get the marketing world. They're doing it really well. And they obviously have amazing investors. They were on Shark Tank. Like, they're doing the whole thing. But their branding, if you go look at Bala Bangles, the actual physical product of what they have are these playful, kind of like unique designs, kind of whimsical. Like it's like a back stretcher thing. Like, you can like contour and like stretch your back, and it's like this cool zigzag. And everything is just so geometric and playful, very like retro inspired, 80s, 90s workout videos, etc. And that is everything that they do is so, even in their copy and in their social media, it's buttoned up. They know their branding, they know their verbiage, they understand their audience, and it's clear that they do. You can tell. What I thought was so funny was I was scrolling on Instagram just the other day, like maybe a week ago, was scrolling, and this advertisement from Bala Bangles, it was a sponsored post, caught my eye, and it looked like how do I say this? It was like kind of phallic. It literally looked like, I feel like I can't say this on a podcast. It looked like they were selling like sexual intimate toys. And it was so interesting and they did it so intentionally. They have all of their products decked. In fact, I have a screenshot, and I'm going to show you. And then if you can't see it in this video later on, I will do an Instagram post on it. This is what it was. And the verbiage on it, I don't know if you can see, but it says 30% off site-wide, use code PLAYDAY. PLAYDAY. And tell me that does not look like what it looks like. So I'm like, what the heck? At first glance, I thought, okay, they're getting into like the sexual intimacy wellness space. Like, what? And I thought that's so interesting. So I go to their website, like I click through to their profile, I go to their website, and I'm scrolling. I'm like, there's no way. And I'm just so curious at this point, and it's nowhere to be found on the website. And I was like, wait a minute. So I go back, and I go back to the original ad. And then I look at the comments, and everyone in the comments was just as gullible and naive as I was. They're like, oh, they sure got us. I'm going to post all this because it's so interesting to me. But they are able to get away with stuff like that because they know their target audience, and they know they have part of their dialogue and their conversation is always cheeky and playful and irreverent. That just goes hand in hand with their brand, so they can get away with stuff like that. Not all brands can do that. Not all brands can do that well, but they did that so well. So when we're looking for inspiration from Bala Bangles, we look for like they know how to do cheeky. They know how to do it a little bit edgy in a very good way. We also love just the way that if you look at all of their campaign imagery, it's so in line with what the brand is. They're talking, I mean, Bala Bangles are weights for your ankles and your wrists. Like, that is what it started out as. That is an 80s and 90s concept. from like, what is the video workouts that, our moms would do and whatever. And they're bringing that back, and they're very to the point on their imagery, and it kind of looking with that like 80s, 90s feel. So I find that really interesting. I've been loving how Bala Bangles is doing their brand strategy and their content strategy. Another one that we love, actually, no, I need to finish this story real quick because this was so funny. I woke my husband up in the middle of the night because I couldn't sleep. And I was like, well, while I'm up, I'm just going to like make notes for this podcast. And so I'm literally trying to I could not find that ad for Bala Bangles. And so I'm in my phone at like 2 a.m. and I'm like, Bala Bangles, Bala Bangles, Bala Bangles. And I wake him up. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just trying to like get the algorithm to show me this ad that I'm searching for. And he's like, oh my God, if anyone saw this, this is just the life of a marketer though. I'm like, Bala Bangles. Okay. Reformation. I know I touched on this earlier. Reformation, what we love about Ref at Grain is really their copy is amazing. We look to them for copy inspiration all the time because they are witty. They are also cheeky, and they are very to the point. It's very quick, which kind of goes along with wit, but it's just very quick and it's concise. So they don't need to over-explain. They don't add a bunch of copy. They're kind of just like, they let their imagery, which is always amazing, speak for itself, but they always have like an edgy take on it. So while Reformation has obviously changed throughout the years, you can tell that they've remained and kind of honed in on what they stand for and who they are. They must have had, like if we go back to the brand guide and this vision of who is the Reformation girl, whatever, they must have had a pretty good idea at least of who that was and what their persona was from the beginning, because really to this day, it's pretty much the same. It's still that witty cheekiness that we're talking about. I listened to the Everything is the Best podcast with Pia Baroncini, I think. And she is, if you haven't listened to that podcast, it's so good. I really am inspired by her. She owns a clothing brand. She owns Baroncini olive oils, which is a luxury olive oil brand. Her husband, it's Gaye. Am I saying that right, Shane? Gaye Cashmere. He owns that brand. It's like a luxury brand. They're just really, really cool. My husband and I love to follow them and emulate them or pretend that we can. So she also used to be, I think it was 2010, on her podcast, she talks about how she worked for Reformation. She started in PR and then she went to, I think, director of design or something in that realm. And she was one of the first to push that Reformation get on Instagram. And if you listen to Pia's podcast, she has that cheekiness, that wit to her. So it's really cool to see how she's not been with Reformation, I assume, for quite a while now, but that what she helped start with Reformation on Instagram has really translated over time. Now, so many of the Reformation videos go viral because a social media manager is like getting shit on or something. And it's really cool to see they have a whole social media team. Reformation is huge. They have a whole department for marketing, and social media is just a portion of that department. But it's still cheeky. So it's really cool to see how it evolved over time, and it still keeps the same integrity of who they are at their core. So we really looked at Reformation. And of course, Merit. We love Merit. I am a big advocate for Merit's makeup. I'm a fan of their stuff as it is. Like, I have it on my face now. It's kind of dewy. It's not expensive. It's a really good price point, and it feels quality. I really like their stuff. So shameless plug for them. But from a marketing perspective, take out the cheekiness, because we've talked a lot about cheekiness. They're very editorial and sophisticated, and everything they do is just so well done. Go to Merit's Instagram, go to their website, scroll through their Instagram and their reels. Like their partnerships, their brand partnerships with influencers are top notch. They have some of the top A-listers supporting their brands. That being said, like I think the founders have like quite a bit of history in their space and a lot of connections, and that obviously helps. But They are doing it right. And their products are amazing. And so again, think about that digitally aligned experience. Their products are amazing. I can tell you. I believe they are. Their makeup is amazing. Their skincare is amazing. And then their socials are all amazing. All of the content that goes with it is so digitally aligned. It all works together. What I like about them and what we draw inspiration from with them is how crisp everything is. Beautiful. The imagery is so editorial. And Merit just has, what I like about them too is they have this cool girl tone to them. Their captions are all very cool girl. It's not over the top. It's not arrogant. It's just cool girl. Like, here's what I'm going to say. It's just kind of easy breezy, a little cool. It's not trying too hard. It's effortlessly cool Merit. And we love that. And Flamingo Estate. Okay. Flamingo Estate has done amazing things for marketing and just for creative direction in general. When we work with any clients and we ask, well, what's your inspiration? We typically get a handful of the same type of responses, especially lately. One of them is Flamingo Estate. Some others are Kelly Wearstler, and they kind of go hand in hand. But Flamingo Estate, we repeatedly get inspiration from our clients. They are always bringing this up to us. We do a lot in the food and beverage space, so that makes sense. But Flamingo Estate did something so wonderful for marketing because in a world where everything was beige for so long, Flamingo Estate really just sucker punched beige in the face and said, I'm taking over. Like we're giving some personality back to branding. And Flamingo Estate's creative director, and I think it's the founder. I need to do more research behind the actual founding of this brand. But from what I do know, he really puts a lot of his own personality into every concept that Flamingo Estate does. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go to Instagram, Flamingo Estate. Everything they do is so lovely and so well put together, but it still appears as though the founder is writing many of the captions. I'm sure he has a social media manager. I'm sure he has somebody helping him, but you can tell that he's very intentional about putting his own voice on his Instagram and telling anecdotes and stories in his captions. His captions on his posts are sometimes so long, and yet they get so much engagement because people want to hear from this person. His brand, we draw inspiration from Flamingo Estate because you really can see the lack of whitewash, and that was so popular and still is popular, and it's so boring. Like, we recently had a potential client reach out to us, and on our form on our website says, what do you like about Grain? Why do you want to work with Grain? And they said, they literally said, because you don't do this whitewash, like you have very moody and aesthetic imagery. And that is true. Like, we're just sick of seeing the same thing over and over and over. So Flamingo Estate's great for creative direction and overall copy strategy too. Another question that I had gotten is, how would I recommend or Grain recommends to finish out the holiday season for promotions and marketing with different strategy and in January? I believe most people's Black Friday, Cyber Monday, holiday campaigns are pretty solidified at this point. If they're not, you're typically a smaller business, and we work with those too, where we're kind of like helping them develop those off the cusp. But I honestly think we're living in a unique time right now where, like I said earlier, people are really sick of being sold on things all the time, and you have to find a really unique way of going about selling things. Because I own a business, I need to sell my services. You need to sell your product or your services. So I get it. Like, we still need to make money here, but how can we do it in a way that isn't so blatantly obvious? How can we get creative? And that's my advice. I would go into it thinking, how can I offer value to my audience, my demographic, to my consumers, to my potential consumers? And maybe the value isn't necessarily discounting. Like, I don't think you need to discount, but I do think that you can say, here's some tips for our products, or here's like a very aligned lifestyle that, or product or different brand that goes along with our brand. So brand partnerships are always a really great place to start. What's a really great brand partnership that you can align with? One off the top of my head that my team and we were like, this was amazing, was the it was Hailey Bieber's Rose skincare with Krispy Kreme donuts. Like, so, random. You wouldn't really anticipate that brand partnership at all, but it worked. And that's the type of brand partnership you want to look into. So different brand partnerships is a really great place to look. Maybe not so much for December because everyone's wrapping up. People aren't really going to be on board for jumping on a new brand partnership in Q4, but they are likely more willing to talk about it in January. And speaking of January, going into marketing for January, I think this is your time I encourage all business owners before the end of the year just to take a look at like what's really worked for you and what hasn't worked for you in 2023. What do you want to do more of? What do you need to do less of? Look at your numbers and take a beat to think about how you can really implement that into January. January is a time when it goes from consuming to even just like eating and drinking and that time of the season to more wellness driven. So without being too obvious, try to pivot whatever content you have to just really reflect this fresh mindset, a more wellness driven content strategy. Don't be too obvious and don't be tone deaf. Like, don't be like only salads for here on out. You have to think about the general public and how they'd feel, and be relatable, obviously. But you do definitely want to start thinking about what do people want in the new year? Well, they want a clean slate. Especially 2023 was hard for a lot of people. So maybe go into January with that in mind. The last question that I want to answer for this solo episode is how I spend my morning and nighttime routines. I don't think I have the perfect morning and nighttime routine. I think it's really hard as a business owner or having any type of startup to have any type of amazing routine. I'm sure people have them. I don't. I do thoroughly enjoy my morning routines and my nighttime routines. And if I stray from them, I'm off. I'm so off for the next day, if not more. So for me, I'm prone to anxiety. If you would know the Enneagram at all, I'm an Enneagram 6. So I'm always anxious at all times. And to keep myself stable, and I just avoid anxiety. And I know what I need to do with my days and in my processes to keep me from getting overly anxious. And so part of that for me is my morning routines and my nighttime routines. Can't speak. In the mornings, my husband will wake up and he'll make us coffee. He'll bring coffee to bed, or we'll go down to our living room. And I usually have some quiet time before I turn on the Today Show, and I sip my coffee for like 30 minutes. And then I typically just kind of begrudgingly get up and go get ready. And, it doesn't take me long to get ready. And then I kind of head out the door, or I settle in my home office. So that's kind of my morning routine. It always involves coffee, and it always involves the Today Show. And I would like it to involve more reading and quiet time. And we're kind of getting to that a good spot, but that's what it is like right now. And I love it. Love having coffee with my husband in the mornings. It's my favorite part. If I had to wake up at 4:30 a.m. in order just to do that, I would. And one story that I think is cute is my husband, I think I had to go to the airport and be there at like 6 a.m. So I woke up at 4 a.m. with me, and he still made me my cortado to have coffee with me because he knows that that's going to set my day up for success. So I think you should find yourself somebody that makes you a cortado at 4 a.m. Good luck. Sometimes I'm shocked that Shane does it, but my nighttime routines are almost more important because there are a lot of mornings that I just got to like get up and run out the door, especially if we're doing like a client photo shoot and I've got a lot of errands to run. But my nighttime is like, it's how I completely unwind. The whole trend of like is it called the everything shower or something, where you like shave your legs and scrub your body and whatever. I basically do an everything shower every day. COVID taught me, when I got COVID in 2020, it taught me to sit in the shower because I was exhausted. So now I sit in our shower and I do my whole routine. I always wash my hair every night. Hey, Sally. It's just life right here. The country life. I always would wash my hair every night in the shower. It'd be like my way of unwinding Can you hear us panting in the microphone? But now I'm on this journey to like make my hair healthier. And so I am not washing it every night and it makes me sad, but I always do a really early shower. I get in my jammies. I get comfy. I shut our blinds so that nobody can see me walking around in my house in my jammies at 4:30 p.m. And I start dinner or I have a glass of wine. Lately, I've just been doing coconut water. I've been on this really big coconut water kick and just really liking to feel hydrated. It's a really great thing. And I just kind of unwind from there. Sometimes I'll have to hop on my computer or something, but I really try not to because just boundaries are important. So that's kind of it. I need to get better back into my workout routines. I used to do hot yoga every day, and I felt so good when I did that. My anxiety was just so much better, but over the past several months, work has just been insane that I feel like I wake up at 6 and my mind is like this, and then I go to bed at like 10 and my mind's still racing, and then I wake up and I do it again. So my whole goal going into 2024 is like, how can I give myself that time to unwind? And I really think hot yoga is going to be a way that I end my day so that I can really shut off and not be available at all times. Because I think as a business owner, I have a team and these girls have questions and they do need to get a hold of me. And I have clients and clients have questions and they do want to get a hold of us. So it's just this constant being like trying to get your attention all the time. People are always trying to get your attention. And I don't think I really understood that when I started a business, that would be a big part of my life, is just constantly talking to people, especially because I'm an introvert, but it's a huge part of my life. So I need to find a way to kind of create that balance for myself in order to feel healthy and feel like I have some time for myself and my family. Okay, so thank you for listening to this third episode of Ingrains, my first solo episode. I felt like I rambled a lot, but it's fine, whatever. Make sure you follow us on all of our socials at graincreative.co. Our website is graincreative.co. And make sure you follow along on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube if you're watching this, and just tell us how you would do you like listening to it on Spotify more? Do you like watching it on YouTube? Do you feel like the video is helpful? What would you like to hear more about? We'll talk about anything you want to talk about. I have all of my girls want to come on here. Kenzie wants to talk about design and just her career experience, and Lexi with hers, and Baby Cat with hers, and Peyton. Like, there's so much we can talk about. There's a whole bunch of people we want to bring onto the podcast, but ultimately would love to hear more about what you guys want to hear and what you find valuable and why you're listening. Like, are you wanting us to talk more about the marketing inside part of things? Or are you just here to shoot the shit with us? So that is all. And we will see you guys next week back in our studio.